Hey there, it's Tom. Here is another video on Vancouver housing policy. Okay, how much density is too much density? Well, let's plot horizontal density on the horizontal axis and one measure of how happy we are about the density on the vertical axis. Pretty reasonable to assume it's a hump shape and we want to be on top where we're the happiest. So why is there a hump shape? What do I mean? Well, land value per square foot of land represents how many people live on the land per square foot times how happy they are living there. You can think about it per acre if you like better than per square foot. Okay, so how many people live there? So suppose you've got a single family home, you got maybe 3 people on 4,000 square feet, whereas if it's a big apartment, you might have 50 or 100 people on the same lot. So more people is a good thing because they get to enjoy the area better, so we would think more people is better. But there's a trade-off. The more people that live on land, it gets to be a disamenity. If you think about planning for a neighborhood level, if there's too much density, people feel crowded, they can't park if you take that seriously, schools might be overcrowded, you have to put in a lot of infrastructure, and people might get COVID cooties, who knows. So more people, maybe, yeah, you're adding more people, but eventually you run into diseconomies of scale, and people enjoy or value living on the land less. So multiply how many people want to live somewhere times how much they like living there, subtract off how much it costs to build their space, and you get the value per square foot of land. And so a reasonable objective is to make people as happy as possible, minus the cost of building the buildings that make them happy to live somewhere. So we want to be at the tippy top here of this curve. Okay, so what that says is there's no case for the NIMBYs, the people who say not in my backyard, not that much density, if value of land is rising, because the product of how much amenity there is times how many people are enjoying it are rising. On the other hand, where you do have a serious case is if you could say, if you took this whole neighborhood and built it to say 6 stories or a 3 FSR or so, the floor space ratio. So if you built to that density, land values would actually come down from say a more reasonable 1.5 or 2. Maybe, I don't know. That's an empirical question, which we can talk about in a second. Okay, now, one other point you might make is, well, Tom, you monster economist, when land values rise, the world gets more expensive. So rising land values make affordability worse. But of course, that's completely wrong. When we add people into an area, we're adding people, so the value grows because people are willing to pay more. But each individual person, because presumably density makes places a bit less livable, each individual person is paying less and less, and that's for 2 reasons. One, you might think the congestion's a problem, but more prosaically, when you squish people onto a lot, they occupy smaller and smaller units. So the rent that each person is paying is falling. Also, in an overall city, the bigger the population, the more rents come down because you've got more space to house the same number of people. So when we build at greater density, land values grow, but rents fall. And so in fact, when a group says we shouldn't build to such density because it will increase land values, what they're really saying is there's absolutely no case based on amenity for prohibiting this project because the product of how many people live here times how much they enjoy living here is growing, even net of costs, and of course, when we build more, affordability grows. Okay, so if you want to make a case against a project, what you want to say is if the whole neighborhood were as dense as this project, land values would fall. Now that's going to be tough around Vancouver. If you look at the Sinaqua project near the Burrard Bridge, they're at an FSR, I think, in the neighborhood of 10. So a lot of projects, Michael Geller's complaining about one in Kerrisdale that's at about 3. If 10's the optimum near the Burrard Bridge, pretty hard to believe anything south of 5, 3, 5 is really going to be bad for land values, even if you aggregated it up to the neighborhood level. Okay, so that's the thoughts, and talk to you next time.